संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। Swami Abhedanandaji Maharaj, very revered head of this great institute at Hyderabad. Of the dais we have an illustrious Swami of our order in the person of Swami Brahmeshanandaji sitting in front. Very respected brother monks of our order present here this morning, very dear brahmacharis and respected devotees and admirers of Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement. Friends, we have been celebrating the sesquicentenary of Swami Abhedanandaji Maharaj for the last 2 days, yesterday and today. And yesterday, I had the privilege of explaining the background which led to this celebration today here. Not only here, a few days back we had a similar function at Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture at Gold Park, Kolkata. We shall have soon a similar one in Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University in Belur Math, and 2 more are slated to be held in Pune and also at Rajkot. One musical conference is due in Lucknow. This is how we thought, with the assistance of the Government of India Ministry of Culture, to celebrate and remember Swami Abhedanandaji Maharaj. When Swami Abhedanandaji is remembered, simultaneously we can't but remember the 2 principal deities of this order, nay, of this movement, Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. I am supposed to speak on Swami Abhedanandaji's role in reviving Indian culture. And when we speak of revival, we certainly would like to know the kind of scenario the Ramakrishna Mission, or in a broader sense, the Ramakrishna movement was born in. And secondly, what was the contemporary India and the world where Vivekananda, and should I say his abridged edition, Swami Abhedanandaji, breathed in. Let's go to Swami Vivekananda, because unless we understand Swami Vivekananda, they say we can't understand Sri Ramakrishna. And to my humble mind, we can't understand any of the Sri Ramakrishna's disciples either, unless we really try to understand and have a glimpse of the great Swami. When Swami Vivekananda traveled to America, I will cite 1 or 2 anecdotes of Swamiji, which will give you the glimpse of the contemporary West. You know under which circumstances Swamiji had been to America. Swamiji went to America. His name was Swami Vivedishananda. So much so that when Swamiji conquered the West from the podium of Chicago Parliament, there was absolutely not a single newspaper in America the following day which didn't announce the triumphant march and the conquest of this great Swami from India. His brother disciples at Alambazar Math were groping in darkness because Swamiji, when he left India, when he took leave of his brother, he was not Vivekananda. He was Bibidishananda. When the Swami boarded the steamer for going to, boarded the ship for going to America, Vancouver was the place he landed. It was his first disciple, Raja of Khetri, the Scion of Khetri, Ajit Singh, who told Swamiji, from today, let the world know you as Vivekananda. Which is why when Vivekananda's triumphal march was reported in the Indian newspaper too every day, they were confused whether it was their Naren Bhai or not. Anyway, Vivekananda went to Chicago, and as you know, he didn't have any credential with him. Swamiji has gone to Chicago platform. Swamiji doesn't know where to lay his head in for the night. And he saw a packing box on the platform. He went to the station master, bargained with him, settled that he would spend the night in that packing box. And station master asked him to come after half an hour. After half an hour, when Swamiji reported, the station master, to utter dismay of Swamiji, told that no, it cannot be given to you. Swamiji understood immediately that he didn't get it even on payment because he belongs to a subject nation. He was a Kala Admi. He was native in the eyes of those people. That's why today we are through Sister Nivedita's 150th as well. Nivedita told that a time will come when Swamiji will be lost in oblivion and he will resurrect in his 150th. And I am one very fortunate, I consider myself, because I was associated with all the committees at the international level, at the national level, at the state level of the celebration in connection with Swami Vivekananda. And how much ripples it created, one cannot just imagine. I will give you a very, very small example. When we were through 150th of Swamiji, we received a letter from the ambassador of Nicaragua. Nicaragua is a very small country, and there are 5,000 Negroes. One Saraswati Mukherjee, a girl from Calcutta, she wrote me a letter. She is the ambassador there, and she writes, today, the leader, there are 5,000 Negroes in Nicaragua. The leader has approached that they want to celebrate 150th of Vivekananda. I have no logistics. If you provide me the logistics support, I will love to do it. We send the logistics support, and she did it. And this Vivekananda, the hero of tomorrow, he was not given a packing box to lay his heads in for the night, even at the payment. And after then, many people know the story that follows, the history that follows. Anyway, Swamiji is going one afternoon in the street for a stroll, evening stroll. One couple is going, and then the wife tells the husband, this man must be a savage. Vivekananda is with a turban. Turban is unstitched, and anybody putting on unstitched clothes is a savage in their eyes. Swamiji overstepped them. and told, "Ma'am, in your country, it is the tailor who makes gentlemen. In my country, it is education and culture that make gentlemen." That is what Vivekananda, and that is what the world was. Swamiji is invited after his conquest in Chicago Parliament by the clergies. And to tantalize Swamiji, intentionally they have put, all the sacred books of all the major religions, and Gita being at the bottom, Bible at the top. And Swamiji is completely unaware of the external situations. So they thought that the clergies thought that their purpose is not served thereby. So told they could not pronounce Vivekananda. They used to pronounce Kananda. So civilized and educated they were. So anyway, they told Kananda, "Didn't you notice that your Gita is at the bottom and Bible is at the top?" Swamiji immediately retorted, "That is good, because the foundation must be very strong." So anyway, Swamiji was invited. They thought that Vivekananda is the man of the moment. His success is momentous, but very temporary. Actually, the intellectual height of Vivekananda that is projected by the media is not right. He is an intellectual dwarf. For some reason or other, that was the day which belonged to him. They invited him for congregation to expose his so-called learning. Christ photograph was tastefully decorated. Vivekananda went and prostrated before Christ. These foolish people, they are looking at each other and they are thinking that our Vivekananda, they couldn't pronounce, as I have told you, Kananda, loves our Christ too. They asked him, Swamiji says, "Not only do I love your Christ, had Christ been alive today, I would have washed his feet with the blood of my heart." And that is what Vivekananda was, and that was what the West was at that time. In the congregation, they applied their utmost intelligence, brilliance, education, learning, know-how, and whatnot. And then they prepared a questionnaire. First question was, "Swami, we have heard that in India, especially among the Hindus, immediately after the birth of the first issue, he is thrown or she is thrown into the Ganges. Crocodile comes and eats him up." What answer Swamiji gives to these foolish people? Swami says, "Yes, very much true. And fortunately or unfortunately, I also happen to be the first issue of my mother. My mother threw me as usual into the Ganges. The crocodile came to eat me up, but crocodile went back disappointed because I was so fat. And that's why this devil is before you today." Second question, as you know, they asked was, "Swami, we hear, especially among the Hindus in India, immediately after the birth of the female fetus, a female child, she is thrown into the Ganges and crocodile eats her up." Yes, true, and in the process there is no women folk in India today, and it's the men folk who have undertaken the responsibility of giving birth to children, because after all the progeny has to be kept up. And that is what Vivekananda was, and that is what the West was. Coming back to India, Vivekananda came back to India. Vivekananda was in Belur Math. A group of people from the northern India. They came. Swamiji was taking rest after his lunch. They met his sevak, attendant, and told that we are from such and such place. We have come to meet Swami Vivekananda. The attendant told that Swamiji is taking a little rest, we can't disturb him now. As you know, Swamiji would hardly get any rest, even get sleep at night. You can do either of the two things. One is you can wait in our visitor's room. When Swamiji gets up, I will inform you and you can meet him. Or otherwise, you tell me when tomorrow exactly you come, I will brief Swamiji and you will be able to meet Swamiji. They told, no, we have come from very far off places. We would better like to wait for him to get up and meet him and go. Fine. They were waiting in the visitor's room in Belur Math. That visitor's room is still intact. And then Swamiji got up. His attendant briefed him. He went to meet them. And Swamiji told that, for service I can be of for you. Tell me. Well, Swamiji, we have come from such and such place. And we are from Gomata Sangrakshana Samiti. So we want your help. What kind of help you want? No, you are Swami Vivekananda, the conqueror of the world. The earth trembles under your feet. We want a credential from you. By showing this credential, we will raise funds. We will raise funds for the promotion and protection of the cows. Gomata Sangrakshana Samiti. Swami says, the place you are from, today in the newspaper I have seen that there has been severe earthquake. Lot of people are homeless. Lot of people are going without food. And why don't you try to raise funds for those people? These people told, no, we don't bother for them because they are dying out of their own karma. Swamiji was extremely annoyed and disgusted. Swamiji was shocked. Swamiji told, then your Gomatas, they are also dying out of their own karma. Why do you bother so much? Why so much headache you have for them? बोले वो तो गोमाता है. तो स्वामी जी told that हमने तो पहले ही समझ लिए थे अगर गौ माता नहीं होगा, माता गौ नहीं होगी तो ऐसा सुपुत्र कहाँ से पैदा होगी? I understood it at very outset. If the mother is not cow, then how come the sons are here? So that is what it is. Our people bothered for those who we consider are less important than man with capital M. Swamiji told, look, I have a message. Sri Ramakrishna has a message that those men, they need your attention more. I do not say that the other creatures, other entities, other beings do not need attention, but their attention is of paramount importance and immediate. Requirement is need is immediate. Which is why Swamiji, as I told you yesterday, gave a new religion, a new man, a new philosophy. That was the India Vivekananda was in. With the advent of Vivekananda, have things improved? Have things changed? Certainly it has changed. I was speaking of human rights, and now our women are the worst casualties of the British, and then Mughal, and then Muslim rules. Muslim followed by Mughals, followed by British rules. Our women were they were relegated to having two duties. One is cooking food for men. Another is giving birth to children. They had no third dimension in their life. They didn't have any say even in policy matters. The other day, a couple of IAS officers from Calcutta Secretariat came to me. So the wife is a secretary to the government of West Bengal and husband as well. So the wife was complaining to me that, Maharaj, both of us do the same thing. Both of us are secretaries to the government of West Bengal. And when we go from the secretariat, he lies down on the bed and asks me to prepare a cup of tea for him. Why it should be. So that is what we are. And the situation is improving, no doubt, with the advent of Vivekananda and Nivedita. But then situation still has to improve. But it was at its lowest ebb when Swamiji appeared on the world scene. That's why Sri Ramakrishna championed the cause of liberation of women. As a matter of fact, there is a prophetic statement of Swami Abhedanandaji Maharaj. Swami Abhedanandaji said in one place that before the advent of Sri Ramakrishna, women used to be considered, even in our scriptures, remember the Gita, gateway to hell. Sri Ramakrishna first demonstrated, send this message across the world to the mankind that women are not gateway to hell, women are way to the liberation. Which is why he worshipped his one wife. Absolutely no other precedence in the annals of spiritual history of the world. This is one. And another is uplift of the masses, which Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda and all his disciples took care of. Now, why I tell about Swami Vivekananda? I have told you, you must have noticed that without an attempt to eulogize Swami Vivekananda, anyone can tell that Vivekananda is second to none. Vivekananda was second to none. Sri Ramakrishna himself told that this will never come, this has never come, this has come only this time. Vivekananda never came earlier, Vivekananda never will come later. Sri Ramakrishna himself says, he came only with Sri Ramakrishna. So he has no parallel. Which is why we say that Abhedanandaji Maharaj is an abridged edition of Swami Vivekananda. And in that capacity, should I say, Abhedanandaji is an extension of Vivekananda as well. Abhedanandaji Maharaj, as you know, you have heard, was Kali Tapasvi, and Abhedanandaji Maharaj was meditating, Naren Bhai was meditating, Kali Tapasvi was meditating, Naren Bhai touched him, and Sri Ramakrishna was very unhappy to hear it and told there has been an abortion. Anyway, but Abhedanandaji considered Vivekananda always to be his leader, his pathfinder. There is a misconception. There is a popular misconception that Abhedanandaji founded a different organization called Vedanta Math, and hence we may infer that there was an emotional contradiction to Swami Vivekananda. No, absolutely not. Abhedanandaji, though he founded Vedanta Math, one must know he was the vice president of Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission, Belur Math, till the last breath of his mundane life. And then what we find is today, when we look towards the world, post-Vivekananda, Abhedananda world, what do we find? And what it accounts for? A book has been published by Harvard University a few days back, not few days back, few years back, excuse me. The name of the book is very interesting. What is that book? Book is The Gift Unopened. the gift unopened written by a scientist couple of Harvard University, Mrs. and Mr. Eleanor Sturck. And this has been published by Amazon Publishers, very popular book. What does this book deal with? The scientist couple, they say that 100 years back, little more than 100 years back now, Christ sent us a gift. But we are so slow, coach, that we did never bother to untie the ribbon, red ribbon of that gift, untie the gift and see what it was all about. Better late than never. Let us open the gift and see for ourselves. And gift unopened was gift opened. And what it was all about. Mrs. and Mr. Sturck say it was Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was sent by Christ to us more than 100 years back, but we did never bother to untie the ribbon and the packet of that gift. And then in the very first chapter, in the very first line of that book, the authors say, if Columbus discovered the soil of America, Vivekananda discovered the soul of America. And naturally, the question for us, for you and me, is did Vivekananda only discover the soul of America? Didn't Vivekananda rediscover the soul of India? He did. Which is why Vivekananda is relevant, which is why Abhedanandaji is relevant. And Abhedanandaji had highest tribute for his senior brother monk, Swami Vivekananda. Abhedanandaji says, he is here with us all, referring to Vivekananda. He is here with us all. He is in you and in me. He is spiritual and invisible before us. He is more powerful now. Nobody can appreciate what Swami Vivekananda had done for the humanity. That's what Abhedanandaji says. What a great tribute he pays to his senior brother disciple. And then what Brahmanandaji says. Brahmanandaji says that Kali, when Naren left us, we thought our work was in the West has suffered a setback. But your performance has convinced us that Naren is very much alive in you. What a great tribute his brother disciple Swami Brahmanandaji, the then president of Belur Math, Ramakrishna Mission, gives to Abhedanandaji. And then we find that today, few days back, Arnold Toynbee, a famous philosopher, literature, a writer, a distinguished author of the West, what does Toynbee say? Toynbee says that we find the humankind is on the brink of a disaster. And if we want to save the future mankind from this impending disaster, the only man is Ramakrishna Vivekananda. And then he says, if India lives, who dies? He says, none. He asks, if India dies, who lives? He answers, none. That is what India is. And that is why we see Sri Ramakrishna's advent and followed by Swami Vivekananda, or should I say accompanied by his lieutenants Vivekananda and also disciples like Abhedanandaji Maharaj. Abhedanandaji was a boy from the then Calcutta, as you know. And then you have already heard how he came at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. Swamiji describes Ramakrishna as the avatar of Buddhista. Swamiji didn't compose anything. This pranam mantra he didn't compose. He went to a devotee's house, established Sri Ramakrishna there, prostrated before Sri Ramakrishna, and this pranam mantra, like the ancient rishis, came spontaneously out of his nape. Rishaya mantra drashtaraha natu kartaraha. The rishis, they see truth flashes before them. They are not the authors of truth. Like Swamiji, when he was prostrating before his master, his beloved, the emperor of his heart, the bolster of his life, Sri Ramakrishna. This pranam mantra, stapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma sarupine, and so on, came spontaneously out of his nape, because Swamiji also was one of the Saptarshi, one of the sages, great sages. And Swamiji says, after hearing Abhedanandaji, that this is the lips through which I will speak. A great compliment to Abhedanandaji, a great testimony to his talent and oratory, and over and above all, unbounded love and affection from Vivekananda to Abhedananda. Abhedananda is very charitable. He is lavish. When he describes Vivekananda, he never minces matters, he tells, he is his leader. He is the pathfinder, and he is but following the steps of Swami Vivekananda. Now, coming to the revival of culture and philosophy that we are dealing with, I would like to read out a written speech, because if I speak extempore, it takes a lot of time, and you will be certainly jaded, and my subsequent speaker will be very angry and annoyed with me. So to save all these situations, I would like to read out a written deliberation. Swami Abhedananda, in his autobiographical sketch, writes, quote, "One Sunday morning, I reached the temple garden at Dakshineshwar, where I met the great yogi, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and asked him whether he could teach me the practical methods of yoga philosophy. He replied, yes. And after reading of my past life, he said, quote, you were a great yogi in your past incarnation. Come, my boy, I will teach you how to practice yoga. Then he initiated me and gave me instructions in concentration and meditation. He touched my chest and aroused my kundalini, the serpent power at the base of my spinal column, and I went into samadhi, the state of super consciousness. Even from his young age, Abhedanandaji had a deep interest in philosophy. In his childhood, he gave up his painting class in favor of becoming a philosopher, as you have heard right now, by arguing that a painter studies the surface of things, but a philosopher goes below the surface and studies the causes of things. He took up the study of Sanskrit grammar and within a short time mastered it to such an extent that he could compose hymns. Kali Prasad composed several exquisite hymns that reveal his deep devotion to the Holy Trio. Once, When he recited one of his hymns, Prakritim Paramam, you all know it, you chant it, on Sri Sharda Devi to her, the Holy Mother blessed him, saying, "May Saraswati, the goddess of learning, sit on your tongue." That's what it is. Goddess of learning herself blessed that may goddess of learning be on your tongue. Similar was the experience of Swami Ranganathanandaji. Swami Ranganathanandaji, as you know, joined Mysore Center. Those days in Belur Math, whenever any brahmachari used to be there, they had to fetch drinking water from the Ganges. Mahapurush Maharaj, his beloved Guru, Swami Suviranandaji Maharaj, was sitting on a easy chair on the veranda, western veranda facing the Ganges. And then he found a lanky boy, very young, sweating all over, drenched in sweat, was bringing a pitcher full of water on his head. Then Mahapurush Maharaj's secretary also was Shankar Maharaj. So he told Shankar, "Who is this boy?" He told, "This is Shankaran Nayar. He is a boy from Kerala, has joined Mysore, has come to Belur Math. Call him." Then he was called. And then Mahapurush Maharaj told him, "I want to grant you a boon you asked for." Then Shankar Maharaj told, "Maharaj, I am a warden in the hostel. Please bless me whenever I speak about Swamiji. The boys listen to me." Mahapurush Maharaj told, "I bless you whenever you will speak about Swamiji, the entire world will listen to you." And then, after ordination, he went to Sargachi, the place which saw light of the day in the map of Ramakrishna Mission and Math, 1 year before the establishment of Belur Math. I mean the place of Swami Abhedanandaji Maharaj. And after ordination, Swami Ranganathanandaji Maharaj went, and Ranganathanandaji told Abhedanandaji Maharaj, "Maharaj, you are our president, you must stay in Belur Math. Why you are in Sargachi?" Then Abhedanandaji told, "Whom shall I give the responsibility of Sargachi? Yes, are you agreeable to accept the responsibility of this center? If you agree, I will give it to you and go to Belur Math." Then lot of discussions took place. And Abhedanandaji, while Ranganathanandaji was taking leave of him, blessed him that from today, Saraswati, the goddess of learning, will sit in your tongue. And that's what we have seen. So, Abhedanandaji was a blessed person because he was blessed by Saraswati herself. After the Mahasamadhi of Sri Ramakrishna, the young disciples started living a life of austerity at the Baranagar monastery. It was here that Kali Prasanna took monastic vows along with others and was reborn as Swami Abhedananda. So regarding his role in the birth of Ramakrishna order, I have explained in details yesterday. In a monastic, in a small secluded room of the monastery known as Kali Taposhi's room, Abhedananda used to spend most of his time in study and meditation. It is here that he composed some of his most well-known hymns on Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother Sharda Devi, including the famous Prakritim Paramam Abhayam Bharadam. All this in deep concentration. What happens to us when we sit for meditation? A clerk remembers that 15 years back a file was lost and he remembers that file. And somebody else remembers a quarrel that took place 30 years back. He feels like going out and giving a slap to his adversary and coming back and sitting in meditation again. That's what it is with us. But with Abhedanandaji, deep concentration, he used to be absorbed in deep, inner core of his mind. He was well versed in both Eastern and Western philosophies, and we enjoyed discussion with Vivekananda. Adbhutananda recalled, Latu Maharaj, he recalls, very interesting. Brother Kali was often busy studying the scriptures and other books, I quote. During rare leisure moments, he would debate with Lauren Bhai. Latu Maharaj would not say Lauren Bhai, he would say Lauren Bhai. Even Thakur used to say Lauren. Lauren used to silence him very easily, but one day Kali cornered Lauren in an argument so well that Lauren couldn't give a reply. Then Lauren said, quote, let's stop here today. Tomorrow we shall start again from the same point. Brother Kali was very happy for the time being, but the next day began giving new arguments that refuted Kali's points. And Kali had to admit he was beaten. Kali was defeated, he was beaten. Quote, Kali says, I couldn't defeat Lauren for a single day. What a pity. He said regretfully, but I told him, Latu Maharaj tells Kali Maharaj, brother, it is bound to be so. Brother Lauren is our leader. How can you surpass him? So that is what it is. After taking sannyas at the Baranagar Math, Abhedananda went on extensive pilgrimages to various corners of the country. On these extensive pilgrimages, he used to travel barefoot and carry bare minimum possessions. After building a thatched hut at Rishikesh, he conducted severe austerities and also visited some of the remote pilgrimages in the Himalayas. During his stay at Rishikesh, he studied the Brahma Sutras with Shankara's commentary under Dhanraj Giri, about whom I was speaking last evening, the abbot of Kailash Math, who was an authority on the 6 schools of Indian philosophy. Later, when Vivekananda visited Rishikesh and asked Dhanraj Giri about Abhedananda, the later remarked, Dhanraj Giri remarked, Abhedananda, an extraordinary intellect. On the other hand, he also extensively lectured and preached in Europe and America for 25 years. After all these preparations, he was summoned to Europe and America, and he was there for 25 years. Since his arrival in the West in 1896, he crossed the Atlantic 17 times to preach the message of Vedanta. He was in fact the realization of Vivekananda's idea of a bridge for the exchange of spiritual and cultural ideas between the East and the West. Abhedanandaji's, some of the contributions at the time is, Abhedanandaji formed an Indo-European club which was named as India House for those students going from India and not getting any shelter there for higher studies. And then Abhedanandaji translated, with the permission of him, he translated the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Kathamrita, he translated into English. In 1915, it so happened Abhedanandaji wanted to come to India. He went for, not India, excuse me, he wanted to go to America from Europe. And he went for booking in the ship. SS Lusitania was the name of that ship. And then first day he went, and then he heard a voice without form that don't go, don't go. Abhedanandaji came back, but he thought that it must be an hallucination of my mind. So let me try again tomorrow. The following day he went, and again when he went for booking, he heard voice without form, don't go, don't go. And then the third day, he found in the newspaper that this Lusitania ship has been wrecked by the foreign army. So, you know, we find, if we read Abhedanandaji's life, we find that Sri Ramakrishna comes to his rescue many a times. This This is the first type that we find, but later on we find many times. And then Swami Abhedananda arrived in London in the second week of October 1896. Swami Vivekananda was then in the midst of his lecture tour in London. After training Abhedananda for a few days, Swamiji made a public announcement that his brother disciple would speak at the Christo Theosophical Society in Bloomsbury Square on 27th October 1896. Abhedananda had not been previously consulted on this matter and felt nervous at the prospect. However, he delivered an excellent address on the essence of Vedanta, based on the Vedantic treatise Panchadoshi. It was a splendid success. Swamiji was very much pleased to see that Abhedananda possessed not only spiritual wisdom, but also had the making of a good orator. He was so happy that he told his London admirers, quote, "Even if I perish on this plain, my message will be sounded through these dear lips, and the world will hear it." Unquote. Hearing this lecture, Captain Xavier remarked, quote, "Swami Abhedananda is a born preacher. Wherever he will go, he will have success." Unquote. When Abhedananda went to London, he went to meet Professor Max Muller in the company of Swami Vivekananda. Muller was deeply interested in the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. He told Abhedananda, quote, "Ramakrishna was an original thinker." Wonderful thing Max Muller told about Ramakrishna, which nobody has told about Ramakrishna till today. Ramakrishna was an original thinker, for he was never brought up within the precincts of any university, and therefore his teachings were new and original. Unquote. This remark impressed Abhedananda. In his discourses and writings over the next 40 years, he not only presented Indian philosophical systems to Western audiences, he also interpreted the teachings of these schools in the light of Sri Ramakrishna's life and teachings. During his ministry in America, the Swami faced various challenges from the intelligentsia, missionaries, and antagonists. It was his deep knowledge of the Eastern and Western philosophies, his spiritual realizations, intellectual acumen, and presence of mind that enabled him to meet these various challenges. Recalling these trying days, he later said, "When I was in America, I would try to forget my sorrows and sufferings by singing or praying to the Master. I would spend my time practicing japa and meditation or studying books. There was none with whom I could open my heart, so I lived in my own world. Don't you see how I have confronted the storms of obstacles? I don't care. Even if the whole world stands against me, I am holding on to the Master." The Swami had to face many antagonists, and in one such instance, after an evening class at the Vedanta house, a stranger rose during the question and answer session and boldly contradicted something that the Swami had said when he was analyzing a passage from the Western philosopher. The stranger went on to cite the book and the words of the scholar in his attempt to refute the Swami's statement, while the class waited breathlessly for a minute and a half. The Swami gently replied to the antagonist, "If, my friend, you will turn the page and complete the writer's sentence." And the Swami supplied the page and the chapter number 2. "You will find I have not spoken other than the truth." At the close of this session, the stranger quietly slipped away, as it happens everywhere, before anyone could ascertain his identity. Once the Swami went with Dr. James, the chairman of Cambridge Philosophical Conference, to meet Professor William James at his house. There they held a discussion of the problem of unity of the ultimate reality in the presence of Professors Royce, Landman, and Shaler. Professor James believed in the plurality of the infinite and was against the idea of unity of the ultimate truth. In a discussion that lasted 4 hours, the Swami convinced him on the Vedanta point of unity of Brahman with him unassailable arguments. Dr. James remarked that he had never heard such a learned and wonderful discussion earlier. According to Swami Abhedananda, of the true knowledge and wisdom, of the tree of knowledge and wisdom. Philosophy is the flower and religion is the fruit. According to Swami Abhedananda, I repeat, of the tree of knowledge and wisdom, philosophy is the flower and religion is the fruit. Philosophy is the theoretical side of religion, and religion is philosophy in practice. In India, philosophy means the science of realization, or a divine awareness of the absolute which transcends the categories of time, space, and causation. Philosophy may be called a spiritual process by means of which a man sees God face to face. Some other comments of Swami Abhedananda on philosophy are: A. India has always made everything stand on the rock of spiritual law. All laws that are man-made are but temporary. Man-made laws are commercial, and any civilization that is based upon commercialism must fail. In India, true love and highest wisdom are one and the same. Though philosophy generally implies the idea of generalized and speculative thoughts along with reason and intellect, yet, in truth, it signifies the highest intuitive perception, anubhuti, of the absolute truth. Vedanta. See, Vedanta doesn't prescribe any special path by which to reach the ultimate goal of every religion. It recognizes varying tendencies of different minds and guides each in the way best suited to it. It classifies human tendencies under 4 different heads, which with their subdivisions cover all kinds and classes of people. It provides for the need of each type. D. Vedanta is both a religion and philosophy. It doesn't ask anybody to accept anything which doesn't appeal to reason and is not in disharmony with the laws of science, philosophy, and logic, and is not in harmony with the laws of science, philosophy, and logic. In India, it must be remembered that religion has never been separated from science, logic, or philosophy. E. While elucidating the philosophy of harmony preached by Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Abhedananda views that true philosophy performs the following 3 functions. 1. It corresponds with the final results arrived at by different branches of science, and taking up these results makes the wider generalization. 2. It must go into the realm of the phenomenal or the knowable and must raise the soul up from the dark abyss of selfishness, ignorance, and self-delusion. And 3. It makes it realize its divine and absolute nature. Religion of Vedanta also teaches the alternative methods of the spiritual practices like the Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, the Raja Yoga, and the Jnana Yoga, and says that these are the alternative paths to reach the same absolute reality, and that all these various methods of spiritual practices lead to the same goal. And then Swami carried out the work in America, which was started by the great Swami Vivekananda. In 1905 and 6, the Swami gave lectures at the Brooklyn Institute of Arts and Sciences on India and our people, dealing with culture, civilization, arts, science, education, and political conditions of India under British rule. These lectures were later published and created a great sensation among the American people. The book also brought a reaction from the British government, who banned the book in India. The following are some of the key things that Swami redressed through these lectures. A. In his lecture, The Prevailing Philosophy of Today, the Swami gave a systematic account of the 6 systems of philosophy and showed that centuries before the Christian era, or even before the advent of the prophet of Judaism, when the forefathers of Anglo-Saxon races were living in caves and forests, eating animal flesh and wearing their skins, the ancient Vedic sages had already perfected their lofty systems of moral philosophy, and their followers were established in the ethical and spiritual teachings of the Vedas. In his lecture, The Religion of India Today, the Swami corrected the mistaken notion that the idea of incarnation of God was borrowed from the Christians. He showed that India is the home of this belief, which was later adopted by other religions. While the Hindus maintain that there can be many incarnations, the Christians believe that there is only one incarnation, who is the first and the last. The Swami asserted that to limit the number of incarnations to only one, constrained by time, space, and nationality, is to limit the infinite power of manifestation of God. God's love for all nations is equal, and wherever his manifestation is necessary, there he naturally descends. In his lecture, The Social Status of the Indian People, Their System of Caste, the Swami gave a masterful account of the structure of the Hindu community life. The hierarchical setup of Kula, family, Gotra, clan, Jati, community, and Varna, caste, and rules and regulations associated with it were illustrated. The Swami emphasized that the Hindus live a life of self-sacrifice. As an individual sacrifices his freedom for the sake of the family, and the interest of the family is merged into that of the clan. And the clan sacrifices his interest for the community. The community acts as a social safety net, as it is the duty of the rich in the community to help first his own family, then the families of his clan, and then other families of the same community, and then to all others. In this way, there was never any need of orphanages, poorhouses, and charitable institutions as in Europe and America. All the individuals, both men and women, are given equal rights, equal privileges, and equal opportunities in matters of religion and spirituality. Further, the Swami clarified that caste was originally based on the natural qualification of the individual, and when later it fossilized into a hereditary practice, Buddha rose as a reformer against the separation and distinction of caste. Thus, the system of correction is built into the system in the Hindu social fabric. In his lecture, The Political Institution of India, the Swami illuminated the meticulous and well-organized government and administration of the Indian kings, as had been recorded by many visitors to India, such as Megasthenes and Hugh and Son. The kings were supported by the village community called Panchayat, and military was well equipped to handle internal and external threats. The Indians had advanced knowledge in many areas such as irrigation, agriculture, metals, industry, trade, and commerce. Shankaracharya says, Dividha hi vidokta dharma pravritti lakshano nivritti lakshanos cheti. There are 4 angles in a quadrangle. Life also is such. Our life is a voyage from animality to divinity. Man stirs his sojourn from manhood and travel to godhood. He travels and traverses through 4 stages: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The first 3 stages of life is sought after by a vast majority of humankind. The stages, that is, desire for moksha, is sought by a very few people. Maybe the number can be counted by fingers. He realizes that he is a part of the same wave of which Buddha and Christ or Krishna is. Atmadipo bhavo, be a light yourself, is the idea. Consciously or unconsciously, everyone, every human being, abrahmo stambha parjantam, every entity in this world yearns for absolute joy, absolute peace. And this is what Swami Abhedanandaji preached. His gospel is the gospel of emancipation. He spoke of Vedantic socialism. He spoke of Vedantic commune. He pleaded for mutual trust and understanding, liberty and fraternity in social life. In politics, he was for a transparent democracy. When we look around today, we find that we are on the brink of a possible metamorphosis. Maybe for a better tomorrow. Whether it is a spiritual thirst or a material hunger, we find Swami Abhedanandaji is eloquent everywhere. This is why we may safely find that Swami Abhedanandaji was relevant yesterday, he is relevant today, and he will remain relevant tomorrow too. We also remember his relentless struggle to revive Indian culture and philosophy. Before I wrap up, I would seek 1 minute time from Maharaj to share a personal anecdote with you. A few months back, not few months, maybe a couple of years back, I was in Delhi. And the Swami in Delhi, he took me for a similar congregation in South Delhi. I was addressing the retired people, senior citizens of South Delhi. Most of them are retired bureaucrats, retired engineers, and so on. So after I completed my deliberation, one gentleman raised his hand. Obviously, old man with gray hairs on head. And then he told Swami, "Can I ask you a question?" "Yes, most welcome." He named a saint, you know. When he comes, he is a saint of yesteryear, and when he comes to Delhi, 10 lakhs of people come here and cluster around him. And you are in Paharganj in Delhi more than 75 years now. And when the birthday anniversary of Sri Ramakrishna or Holy Mother or Swami Vivekananda take place, there are hardly 1,500 or 2,000 people. Why? That was the question. I was slightly fortunate. I asked him that, you know, what would you do before retirement? I am a retired IPS officer. What was your last posting? My last posting was DDA, Delhi Administration. Well, you know that in Delhi, the Municipal Corporation of Delhi runs a lot of primary schools, municipal primary schools. Well, yes, I know very much. I was an integral part of the administration there. How many children do go there? No, in terms of lakhs. Well, you have a university in Delhi as well, Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU. How many boys and girls do go there? Few thousand. Well, you have already given the answer of your question. So, to understand Vivekananda and Abhedananda, you take more time. Vivekananda prophesied that this movement is going to last for 1,500 years. And anybody who comes, any incarnation who comes in between, he will come to strengthen the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And Ramakrishna has given you intellectual and spiritual food for next 50 years. It is just 1 hour after the dawn, morning dawn. Sun is yet to rise in the sky. Wait and see when the sky rises, then how many people come around Vivekananda and Ramakrishna. So with these few words, I would like you to go through Swami Abhedananda. And before going through Swami Abhedananda, you must go through Swami Vivekananda, because Swami Vivekananda is the prism. You know, light has 7 colors, but you can't see it with this eyes. You require a prism to see the Vibgyor. Likewise, you require the prism like Vivekananda to understand Sri Ramakrishna and also his disciples. With these few words, I wish all of you the very best. I especially thank my successor, who has so quietly allowed me to be here for such a long time, and I profusely express my gratitude to the head of this institution who has so kindly remembered me. With these few words, I wish you again the very best. Thank you so very much.